Hello, this is Deborah Yao with Black Education TV. I'm going to be defining for you education, what it means. It actually has several different meanings. Receiving or giving information, instructions, teaching, schooling, training, guidance, or providing an enlightening experience. Now, years ago, I established this channel as Black Education TV. And one of my very first videos was Say No to Black History. I also did a video where I was talking about Emmett Till and some of the other atrocities that have happened to so-called black people here in this country. I wanted to, initially I was going to provide information about various things in history that have happened to our people, various stories about black history and black inventions and things of that nature, but it kind of spiraled into a number of other directions because education doesn't just have to be things of historical nature. It doesn't have to be academics with reading, writing, and arithmetic. It can be instructions or guidance on life in general, or wake-up calls where you're actually informing others of things that are taking place. I said in a previous video years ago that education is the process of teaching or learning something that you didn't already know. Or should I say, learning something that you didn't already know, or someone else teaching something to another person that they didn't already know. So education is just that. It's the process of educating. You see, once a person learned something that was unknown, they have been educated. If you didn't know that there are various varieties of apples, dozens of varieties of apples, and someone informs you of that, you have been educated on that bit of information. If you didn't know that there were many different colors of apples, and someone informs you of that, you have now been educated in that particular area as well. If you didn't know that there are hundreds of varieties of birds, thousands of varieties of insects, and someone educates you on that, now you know, you've learned. But what I've done with this channel here, in terms of Black Education TV, there are various things that I've reported on that I consider to be wake-up calls for those who are not paying attention to the handwriting on the wall. A lot of people don't bother to watch the news because, yes, it can be very, very depressing. But when you're giving commentary, during that commentary, you can give information or provide information that will cause others to think, that will give them a different thought process than just watching it on the news. Because sometimes when things are reported on the news, lack of information or sensitivity to a certain thing could cause a person to get a little frustrated. But if instructions are given, such as boycott, hey family, let's boycott this particular establishment because of their treatment of us. Even for some of our young people who didn't know that certain things took place in history, they're learning for the first time. Believe it or not, some young people are learning for the first time that slavery was a horrendous tragedy against our people. I remember years ago we had a student, when we asked them when they heard of slavery, or when they hear about slavery, what does it mean to them and what is slavery to them? And their answer was slavery is picking cotton. They thought that slavery was just picking cotton. And so for a young person to believe that slavery was just picking cotton, they have been miseducated or undereducated. And so when you instruct them and give them the real information about what took place in history, you have educated them on that fact, you see. And then you go into more details in a way that's going to be productive, in a way that's going to cause them to think and understand what our ancestors were up against, you see. that was one of the things that I wanted to do with this channel, but a lot of things from the past are spilling over to today, spilling over into the future. We're starting to see lynchings again. Well, they've never really stopped, but we're starting to see them more frequently. You see, we're starting to see an escalation of the behavior from the past being masked as suicide or tragedies that are unlinked to any type of racial bias or any type of racial hatred. Oh, it's just an isolated incident here or there. This is what we're told, but we don't believe that, you see. And so this channel here, that was our original intent on it. We've also gone off into gardening, in which we feel like that is an SOS, something that we must do. We're sending out an SOS to those of you who want to be self-sufficient, that it's time for you to think outside of that box of chicken that you buy from Popeyes. It's time for you to think outside of that box and think about growing your own food, raising your own livestock, if that's what you choose to do, but seeing how important it is. Through that, we like to tell you to, or instruct you as well, to go to YouTube University. When you want to learn some things about gardening, specific things, go to YouTube University. There are all kinds of instructions on doing a lot of things. We are without excuse. If we can spend hours and hours watching nonsense on YouTube, we can watch productive things as well. You see, it's time for our people to really come to grips with what is taking place in this world. We have so much arguing and bickering going on among our own people that there's no point in even paying attention to what anyone else does if we can't get our own collective house in order. It's very disheartening when we see our people who don't care to be educated. This is why the scripture says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. That's right. You can be destroyed for what you don't know. That's what it said. They are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. See, some are of the belief that, well, if I don't believe it, if I never heard about it, then it can't affect me. There was an old saying that said, what you don't know can't hurt you. Well, that's a bald-faced lie. What you don't know can hurt you. And who knows where such a statement came from? What you don't know can hurt you. So it's very important that we begin to know, that we seek to know. You see, from time to time, I'll get people come and say various things on my channel. I tend to ignore these days certain things. I mean, I remember back in the day, I used to go back and forth with people on things, but I decided that it was just a waste of time. Every so often, I will make a comment on my channel in response to something. Most of them are very brief, but it used to be ridiculous back in the day where I felt the need to engage with those who left comments to, you know, just kind of bring my point of view across. Well, I said, well, I've brought my point of view across in the video. And if someone disagrees, they are entitled to do so. And if they come on being rude, a lot of times I don't even see it because I don't bother to look, you see. Because what that does is it creates unnecessary friction when you go back and forth, unnecessary stress going back and forth with people on these issues when you've already made your statements in your video. If someone doesn't agree and they want to come calling you names and just different things like that, just let them argue by themselves, you see, because there is much work to be done, and some people are actually sent as an antagonist. I'm not saying that I never comment. I'm just saying it's not like it used to be. Not like it used to be at all. You have racist people come on making comments. You have your own people coming on making comments. And it's just not worth it. Because the goal, again, of this channel is to speak to those who may not already know of particular things, and those of you who already know, who just enjoy the commentary, that's fine too. But as I've stated before, a lot of our people are in the dark about what is taking place in this country. This is why you will see on the news where someone is crying because some white person has spit in their face and they say that I can't believe this is happening in 20 such and such. Just whining and crying about it because they can't believe that this is happening. Oh, this is 2018. This was 2015, 2016. Why is this still happening? My question is, why are you crying about it? Because it's always been happening, you see. But that's what happens when a person closes their eyes to reality. But education is to teach you something that you don't already know, or to instruct you. And so this channel will always cover many different things. Sometimes it'll just be commentary. Sometimes it will be gardening things. It may be business things. Just a number of different things. And that is my prerogative to have that type of content on my channel. For those of you who say I never use my Bible when doing videos, I've had that nonsense said before, as if I'm supposed to have a Bible in front of my face every time I do a video. That's utterly ridiculous. That's why we have our ministry channel. We have a ministry channel called Watch Me Reports. And that's where my husband and I come together and we teach and do various, speak on various topics over there. And so to suggest that I need to have a Bible plastered in my face, quoting scriptures every time I do a video is ridiculous. You're just a person who is just an antagonist and who just can't see what is right before your eyes, what is very obvious, that this is not a ministry channel. It was never established as a ministry channel. And so if I want to talk about cow manure or horse manure in this video, I can. You understand what I'm saying? If I wanted to talk about cumulocirrus clouds, I can. If I wanted to talk about the desert sands, I can. You see, this channel, again, is going to cover many subjects, many topics. It's going to highlight things that I feel need to be highlighted and others feel need to be highlighted, things that others have shared with me. And as you see, giveaways. One day I might want to sing or rap. Who knows? You know, it is what it is. Black Education TV. Take it for what it is. You see, education has a broad definition when you look at the fact that there are things that others don't know. And when you inform them, you've educated them on that subject. Okay, I'm done with this subject, family. And with that, I will say shalom.